Hello. How are you doing? I hope we're good. I'm just going to crack on because it's absolutely boiling up here. Like boiling. Like actually boiling. I'm just turning on our piano music to make it look like I never left. Like we were always here. So yeah, I've missed you guys. I hope you're good. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going to crack on. So what you're going to need for this is the Rays and Waves Stitchalong. This is going to be the prep video. So I'm just going to quickly go through all the things you're going to need to complete this one. My sample is a 6-inch hoop. So if you want to do a 6-inch one, you totally can. And let me know if you want me to resend the file with a 6-inch one included. But we're going to do it on an 8-inch one, so it's just a little bit bigger. I'll be able to show the stitches a little bit more clearly, okay? And this is like the standard size hoop that we do. In your printout, you'll get it printed at 8 inches. So when you print it, if you want to print it, make sure that you print it at 100% or actual size. And then when you cut it out, it should fit right in the center of your, the middle of your hoop. Yeah, it shouldn't go out beyond the hoop. However, if for some reason you've got a printer that's not printing it to the proper size and you don't want to mess around with it, all you need to do on your paper is just make the lines go out a little bit farther. You can just literally just draw the lines a little bit farther out, and that's totally fine too. Okay, it's not gonna like alter anything. So there we go with that. So you're going to need an 8-inch hoop. I like the Albizi hoops. They're my favorite. They have the 2 rings like that. I like that they've got the screwdriver thing at the end so you can get your fabric super tight in it. And they just seem to really hold your fabric nicely. If you're not getting an Albizi hoop, what you need to do is lay it like this and see if your hoop has any big gaps around, meaning you can see through it. So when you have, what's going on here? When you have your hoop tight like this, you don't want to be able to see through your hoop in any space, in any part. So that's what to kind of look for, but we're going to need an 8-inch hoop for this. Like I said earlier, if you'd like to, I can resend the pattern with a 6-inch pattern included as well if you want me to. I just did mine a bit smaller so I could give a little sample of some of the stitches so you can see what it would look like, and hopefully people who have never stitched before will think, oh, that looks fun. I want to try that. So there we go with that. What you're going to need is either a sticky solvay. We're not doing watercolor for this one. So you either need a sticky solvay to print or trace your design on, and you're going to need something to print it on with. So I like the Pilot Heat Erasable friction pens. You can also just use a pencil if you really want to. I like these ones because they do erase with heat. You can kind of see, I had this on here for about 2 weeks and it's been very warm, but you can kind of see there's a faint line. I can get that wet and let it dry and it will actually all disappear completely. So it's like not a big deal. I know a lot of people like to point that out, like, oh, but actually it will go away. So like, don't worry about that. You can also use a water erasable pen if you want to. This is one from Keyring, and it has a little bit thicker tip to it than a pen would. So if we just kind of try it out here. Ooh, it actually was thinner than I thought, because my other one is really, really worn down. Here's a little bit. Or you can just use a pencil. If you use a pencil, I would suggest trying your very best to follow the lines like this and not like this. The kind of sketchy way. Try and get just one nice solid line, and then you can stitch on top of that line and it will go away. You know, you can cover it up completely. Obviously it won't go away, quote unquote, but you can cover it up completely. What you're going to need is some needles. So this is the needle book, one of the patterns of the month. that we did, and I've got all my little needles in here like that. I would suggest like a DMC 1 to 5 pack embroidery needles. That's a nice selection, so you'll get one that's quite thick, you'll get ones that are quite thin. So you can kind of see the difference if I hold it up really closely. Sorry about my fingernails today. It's got a bigger hole to put your thread through, and this one here is a lot smaller. What you want to do is match the size of hole that you're putting through your fabric to how many threads that you have. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along, but that is why having a lot of different needles is really, really beneficial, because it will make it so where you put your stitches are where your stitches will stay. Okay, so imagine you've got a really big hole like this, and you've got just one strand, and your one strand is just like going around the hole. Do you know what I mean? It's moving around. So every time you do an edge, you've got some that are down here and some that are up here, because you're making a hole that's really, really big. So that's kind of why I like to say, get the different sizes if you can. I like to have one that's for 6 strands, 5 or 4-ish. Then we've got 3, where is it? This one, 3, kind of 2 or 3 for that one, and then I've got 1 for that one. It might be the other way around though. Yeah, 3 or 4 for that one and 1 for that one. So I like to have a couple extra. Yeah, and then obviously I have the ones I stock in my shop, which are my favorite ones. They're the closest ones I can find to my antique needle that I found in an antique store. What else? You need to have fabric to put inside your hoop. The fabric that I like to use is just a regular white cotton fabric. I use it for everything. I put it in all my kits and everything like that. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not too thin, not too thick. I like to stitch on 2 layers of fabric, so something to think about, especially if you've got something like this where you might be putting some threads here and then moving over here and then moving over here all at once. But it's just like a 100% cotton, non-stretch. You can look for quilting cotton, a colored quilting cotton, like Kona cotton, Kona. That is a good one. You can look for, if you're in the States, I was going to say go to Joann's, but obviously that's not there anymore, RIP. But you can look online perhaps, or go to a small business, which would be amazing, fabric shop, and get the Country Classics quilting cotton, which used to be at Joann's. They have a lot of different colors. You don't have to use white. Obviously, I just used white. We're going to be covering up almost everything except for some of these open stitches. So just have to think about that if you use a colored cotton. So these are going to be completely covered in white, but these ones here, you're going to see through. You're going to see through. You're going to see through. So things like this, you're going to see through. So you're going to see the color of the fabric behind. So if you wanted to watercolor it, you could. I'm not going to be showing that in this stitch along though. So just a thought in case you wanted to add yellow to the top, or like a sunset or something, and like maybe some pinks and blues or something. And then down here, you could do something else if you wanted, or you could layer 2 colors. I mean, there's so many things you could do, but just a thought with the cotton. The other thing I like to use is this kind of organic calico. Whoops, not that one. That one's got sparkles on it, which would still be so pretty. I'll show it anyways. I don't know if you can tell. It's like a shimmery. You totally cannot tell, but it's like a shimmery cotton. And then this one is the Kona cotton, so I tend to use this one quite a bit as well on stitch-alongs or for the books. It's just a nice, like, it's not bright white. You can see here it's an organic, undyed calico color, so I like that one as well. But again, you can use anything that's non-stretch, so we're not looking for stretch for this. You want 100% cotton, or even like a poly cotton if you really must, or even a linen. Let's see if I've got a linen over here. I'm sure I do, because I always do. And it's always the same one I show, because all the other ones are in storage. So this one is a linen. You can see it's got a much more open weave. It's a little bit more rustic looking, I think. linen. Yeah. So if you see it with this one, next to this one. I don't know if you can tell. This is much more open and this is more tightly woven together. So it just depends on what you like and what you want your finished embroidery to look like. Most of it is going to be covered up. So please don't think too hard about your fabric, thinking I have to get the right one, I don't want to mess up, I don't want to be wrong. That's not what it's about, okay? Grab one, do it. You can always do it again. Yeah? Easy peasy. And then what you're going to need are fabric scissors or any kind of scissors that will cut your fabric. They don't have to be expensive fabric scissors. Use your kitchen scissors if you must. And then you're going to need a pair of sharp ones to cut your threads. I always say, like, please don't use those children's safety scissors because all you're going to do is make the ends all uneven. And then when you go to thread your needle, you're going to get something like this. And you're going to be like, Tori, I cannot thread my needle with that. Something like that. Yeah. Where they're all like different lengths and stuff. Okay. You want to get a nice straight cut. They don't have to be embroidery scissors. They don't have to be like super, super sharp or anything like that. It's just not the children's safety ones. So have a think about that when you put your little scissors in your sewing bag, you know. I tend to just grab whichever ones I can get. And then I regret it later when I'm like, these don't cut. So there you go with that. And then for threads, we're going to use the 6-stranded cotton. So they look like this. Let's see if we can get one that I haven't taken apart yet. I've got a big mess here. Not what I wanted, but okay. So they will pull apart. And they've got 6 strands. You can separate them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 strands, depending on how thick or thin you want your line to be that you're stitching, or how thick you want the area that you want to be filled to look. Okay, stay with me. And yeah, we're going to use mostly blues, maybe some greens or turquoises, something like that. What I mean by turquoise is like this, like a teal, any of these kind of colors. We're also going to be doing a bit with white, with a cloud, and kind of like the crest of the wave. Okay, so you might have to have some white there. Oh, it's a bag. Okay, good. Goodness. We've had flies in all day because we don't have screens in England. So yeah, the flies are just in all the time. You open anything and a fly is just boom, I'm going in there. So I thought, oh no, we're gonna have one in here. But yeah, you don't go out and buy a ton of colors. You can always use more than one color in one place. So I've done like here and here, here and here. Yeah, these are actually different colors, but they look very similar. We've got here and there. So just mix and match. You don't have to get like 100 different blues and 100 different yellows or oranges. Just get a couple, get a nice mix, and then go for it. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to put your fabric in the hoop, and then I'm going to show you how to trace it, and then we're going to be done. Okay? So let's take our fabric out. Let me just take all of these threads and put them in the basket again, because they're just going to get in the way. Got these little baskets from B&M, maybe? Yes, B&M. They're £6 for one, but they are a half off. And they've got these nice wooden handles, but they're so good for just throwing all of your embroidery stuff in. I love it. Okay, so if you're in the States, sorry, I haven't got like an equivalent, but I'm sure Target has something cool because they always have cool stuff like that. Although some people are not shopping at Target right now, so I don't know, maybe the dollar store or something has something like that. Okay, what I like to do, I'm just going to zoom out for just a minute. What I like to do here is I like to leave about this far. Yeah? Okay. Also, think about what you want to do with this when you're finished. All right, it doesn't have to stay in a circle hoop. Also, you can extend the lines to make it any shape you want. So if you want to make this a square, yeah, trace out your square and just extend your lines to the edge of the square. Yeah, extend your stitching to the edge of the square. That's it. Okay, so it doesn't have to stay in the hoop. You can stitch this on a lot of different things in a lot of different shapes. You can make a little pennant if you wanted to, which the pennant example is somewhere. I thought I just saw it though. But you can make it into like a little pennant if you wanted, meaning like, you know, with the stick and then it hangs down. I swear, I thought it was just, oh, there it is. I knew I saw it. I knew I did. Something like that. Okay, you can fill the whole thing up, or you can make it a circle, or you can do any kind of shape that you want to. With that, just have a think about what you want to do with this before you get started, because what often happens to me is I will get started on something, I'll get about halfway through and I'll go, oh, I could have done this with it, and then I feel regret because I didn't put enough fabric around the edges, or I didn't leave enough space. So there you go. For this one, I'm just going to do our little rough cut like this all the way around. Okay, this does not have to be perfect because we're going to be working on it for a solid 2 weeks. It will get a little bit like ratty on the edges. Don't worry. We'll sort that out at the end. Okay? Okay, so this is what we've got. All right, let's zoom back in. What you're going to do now is open your hoop like this, and I'm just going to put one of them in. So I tend to like to stretch my fabric and then trace it. You don't have to do it that way though, if you want to. You can put this right here like that and put this straight over top. When I do my designs, I like to do nice bold lines so that you could literally just put it here like this. You use your pen and trace over it, and then put this fabric in the hoop, make it tight, and you're done. Okay? If you haven't got a printer, you can do the same thing with your iPad. Okay. Just make sure that's all the way up. Actual size. Okay. And what you want to do here is you want to enable the guided access in accessibility. Okay, so I have mine all set up already, but where it is, it's in general, and you want to come down here to, nope, under accessibility. It used to be general, and then you want to turn on guided access, which is down here at the bottom, like that. Okay, now what you need to do is go to the app, so you'll have like a PDF or that you'll have, and then depending on your model of your iPad, you can, mine is press the top button 3 times, so 1, 2, 3, and it will say guided access started. So this is what I was using it for earlier, to do the top. So obviously I can do stuff on the bottom but not the top. So all of these buttons here, because they're grayed out, they don't work. Yeah, so what I can do is lay my thing on top like this. It works really good when it's not bright, like when the camera is not shining directly on it with light. And then you can literally touch all over your screen and it's not going to move the size. Okay, so that's super good if you need to trace it like that and you haven't got a printer. And then to finish, oh my gosh, why is it done like that? Why are the numbers so small? Oh my god. I've never done that before. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. So that's literally just all the stuff that's in what you'll get in your email, you know, when you download the pattern. So there you go with that. The other way you can do it is to hang this up on a window, or you can use the flashlight on your phone and shine it through the back of your hoop. But let's just put our fabric in, and then we can have a little look, because a lot of people feel like they don't get their fabric thick enough or tight enough, or their fabric's not thick enough to hold for the hoop to hold. Okay, so what you're gonna do is put it like this. What I like to do is line up the warp and weft, which is the way the fibers go. So these ones go up and down like this and side to side like this. I find that when I do it this way, it's really easy to get it nice and tight, whereas when it's an X, don't ask me why, because obviously it's a circle, so if you just turn it a little bit, it will be the other way. I'm aware. I don't know why, but it's just easier for me to do it this way. So I put it up against my tummy, tighten it a little bit, and then what you're going to do, like this, is pull. So do you see when I pull it here, it makes it tight, and then you can see here it's a bit poofy. You're going to do that all the way around, okay? And you can kind of see as I'm going around, it's creating almost like a little ripple. You want to keep going all the way around until you get to the beginning again, okay? And then you're going to tighten it again. Yeah, and then do it again. So you want to tighten it all the way around again. So after you are happy it's all tight, it should make a nice drum-like sound. Like that. And when you put your finger around the edge, you shouldn't have any big dips, okay? Make it nice and tight, and then use a screwdriver and really crank it. Sometimes if I don't have a screwdriver, I like to use the end of this. And you can really wind it like that. Or sometimes I use my scissors, even though you really shouldn't do that. But I do it anyways. But you need to really tighten it up, okay? And then you're ready, right? So obviously I have 2 layers of fabric, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to see it, but I still can. See? So what I like to do is put 1 layer in, trace it all, take it out, and put the second layer in, and then tighten it all up, okay? But you don't have to. You could also use sticky solving. That's the other thing that I said that you could use. So just let me reach over for just a minute because it's all right here. Okay, so these are the 2 kinds I like to use. I like to use the sticky Fabrisolvi like this by Sulky, or the Bosal Wash Away. Yeah, it's sticky solvy basically. They're exactly the same thing. They're both great. They both work very similar / the same. So what you end up having is a little thing like this. You want to get the printable ones. They go through your printer. Okay, it's like a little mesh type fabric. These ones misprinted because my printer hates me. However, they print on there just like this. The other thing that you can do with these that I really like is that you can just literally trace right over them. So if you see, you can see through it, and you can trace right on them as well. So you don't have to have a printer with these either if you prefer stitching with these. Some people, their hands shake, or they feel like they can't really do like a super great job tracing. Well, the other way you can do it, which I didn't actually talk about this time, is you can put this right here like that, and you can flip it over like that, and you can trace it that way, especially on a table, or if you put it up on a window like this, you can kind of see right through it really easy. Obviously I have 2 pieces of fabric, okay, so it's easier with just one. Like, it's easier to trace it with just 1 piece, yeah? And then add the second piece if you want the stability. So that's all from me. That's all I've got. For Monday, the 1st, you need to have your pattern onto your fabric. You need to have some thread, yeah, your needle, some scissors, and be ready to stitch because we're going to do our first stitches that day, okay? But other than that, that's really all. That's really it. Share with your friends. Get some friends to join. It's always more fun when we stitch together. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all. You know? Easy peasy. So if you've got any questions at all, please, please, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer. Our internet is terrible. We just changed it from Sky to Virgin, and awful. I made them put a booster right below this area, this loft. So hopefully it will be okay, but yeah, we've got one more week to be like yes or no. So I'm very close to being like, change it back. But we've got to give it a try. So yeah, that's what we've got. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you need to know. This will be saved. It will be put on YouTube. I can't promise it tonight, obviously, because the internet is terrible. But it will be put up on YouTube. So if you are catching up, you can catch up directly here on Instagram, or it will be on YouTube as well. Yeah, just be a bit patient with that because life, you know? Other than that, that's all I've got. So I hope you've enjoyed. Tag me in your prep videos. Let me know if you have any questions or if you had any troubles at all. And I will see you on Monday. All right. Bye.